America has put a lot of tariffs, almost 27%. So that is another challenge for India. How to deal with that?
Sometimes customer ask you to produce more, sometimes customer ask you to produce less because their end users also has got certain volatility in their demands. What I am promoting is we should promote not PDCA, we should promote SDCA. So standardize, do, check and act is most important. You will have to have three things in hand. You should have a telescope in hand, you should have a microscope in hand, you should have a stethoscope in hand.
Hi friends, my name is Bhavya Mangla and I welcome you in the 40th episode of my series, The Unfiltered Conversation. We started this series with the objective of identifying the people who are doing something great in their life and what we can learn from them. We had different kind of episodes with respect to how we can do the planning, what we can do with respect to thinking, and then we also had a long series with respect to how to write the book and how we can publicize that. Now, this particular series which is going on is primarily with respect to the professionals who have done exceptionally well in industry, and they have contributed a lot. So what we can learn from them, that's a whole objective of this particular series which is going on at the moment. So in this 40th episode, there's a very, very interesting guest. His name is Mr. N.P. Chandok, who has more than 40 years of industrial experience with more than 32 years in Hero MotoCorp, where he retired as Associate Vice President Quality. And then, apart from that, he has in-depth experience in the industry with respect to working with the Tier 1 companies, especially the automotive sector. And we have chosen a very interesting topic, and this topic is primarily talking with respect to what exactly is the leadership on the shop floor. At times, when we talk about leadership, we are always thinking about the top management people who are CEO, vice president, president, and then we are always thinking that the leadership is primarily with respect to that. But that when I was talking to Mr. N.P. Chandok, I realized that leadership at every level is very important, especially at the shop floor, where it plays a very, very important role. So let's understand from Mr. N.P. Chandok that what exactly he thinks about the workplace leadership or the shop floor leadership. Mr. Chandok, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much, Mr. Bhavya Mangla, for providing me an opportunity to interact with the people to express my experience and opinion about manufacturing. In the connotation of shop floor, if you look at, it's a workplace where the production is carried out. In order to meet the customer requirement, now people on shop floor are very, very critical and very, very important. In order to see that the product that is produced, delivered to customer to the requirement to which he stands in need of. And the whole purpose of a business existence is to make money. And money cannot be earned unless until the customer quality, cost and delivery performances and requirements are met. If we develop those capabilities, demonstrated leadership, to make sure that the product is delivering those delivery levels, quality levels, and also the cost levels. And that has to go to flawlessly and consistently, not for one day, 2 days. It has to go day after day, shift after shift. Then only the customer will have a reason to be very happy and delighted with the supplier. Now, the challenge that with the shop floor is there are so many problems with which they are grappling with, and in Indian industry, if you look at it, that the story of the problem with which we all are grappling with are same. The degree varies from industry to industry, but if you look at it, whole, the manufacturing setup, the important question is that what is the barrier and what is the constraint which does not allow us to perform to a level to which the global competitive requires. Now, take a case of China. Now, in China, if you look at it, I think China dominates global productions and those kind of leadership which certifies by the way of contributing their production as a largest proportion of the production to the total world manufacturing output. The total world manufacturing output, if you look at the contribution alone coming from China, is to the extent of 31.6%, whereas the proportion of Indian manufacturing industry is to the tune of 2.9 to 3% of the total world's manufacturing output. Now, which is just 1/10 of the total, output which India enjoys, which means there's a substantial gap that is available where we need to enhance our capability to an extent so that this gap is bridged. Now, what are those challenges that we are facing here is, now if you look at, the word called VUCA in a business environment.
Yeah.
We mean there's a volatility. The volatility is there in a not only in a commodity cost, even volatility does exist in the demands. Sometimes customer asks you to produce more, sometimes customer asks you to produce less because their end users also has got certain volatility in their demands.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of uncertainty. I do not know to whom you have been selling today and tomorrow whether they will be able to procure from you or not. Today they are procuring from you X model, Y model, Z model. Maybe tomorrow they might switch it over to some another model. So there's a lot of uncertainty. You have internal uncertainty. Uncertainty. If you talk of, you have sometime the worker arrest. There's a labor arrest issues. You might come across a situation where your supply chain gets breakdown. So these internal hiccups or internal constraints does create a lot of uncertainty. Then you have a lot of complexity today. Complexity means, remember those days about a decade or couple of decades ago, the width of your variety was very, very limited. So you were producing a fixed number of variants, maybe in 2 digits, and today if you look at it, the variety of your variants are getting widen up, and today it might run into 3 digits, might run into even 4 digits as well. Therefore, complexity also, you have for one component you have various toolings and dies which you need to do a lot of setup changes, and these all things puts a lot of pressure on the manufacturing. Then you have a lot of ambiguity. Sometimes you are asked to produce quality, sometimes you are asked to produce cost. You have to take care of new model development. Earlier you were asked to produce a model within 18 days. It has come down to 12 days. Nowadays I come across a situation where customer even tells you to develop my model in 6 months. So all those things creates a lot of pressure on manufacturing, and therefore we need to enhance our internal capability to the order of fulfilling all that challenges. Now in doing so, therefore I say in any industry, if you look at it, for them to be successful, for them to grow to a level to which they aspire, it is very, very important to develop the internal capabilities. It is true that the top management, there are strategic level. At a middle management, you have a tactical plans as well. I mean, every year, every organization makes the plans. So we do make the strategic plan, we do make tactical plans, operational plans. End of the day, those operational plans are delivered on the war field, on the shop floor. That is where we are saying shop floor is most important. When I say shop floor, then the people who are working in shop floor, who actually have to make those plans into reality, even if they are facing certain difficulties, they will have to solve the shop floor problems in such a way so that they, produce flawlessly, consistently, and deliver to the customer, which customer really requires from you. So this is what moment I say shop floor, the leadership or the capability. So I find this is very, very critical for the success of a business today.
I think you touched very important thing with respect to when you talk about VUCA, about volatility, complexity, uncertainties, and what are the different challenges that industry is facing. And especially if you look into 2-3 days back when America has put a lot of tariffs almost 27%. So that is another challenge for India. How to deal with that means one challenge is that now there is a barrier which is coming from a country where we are exporting a lot. So what to do at this particular time? And then secondly, from the organization perspective also, where maybe leadership may be doing something very great, but end of the day, if in the shop floor things are not happening, everything will be lost, or means whatever targets are there, they will not be met. But I think one very important thing to understand is that what are the actual challenges that we face on the shop floor. And when we talk about leadership, what does it mean? We are talking about the supervisor level, shift in charge, production head. I mean, whom we are addressing when we talk about shop floor leadership?
Yeah, so let's understand that. Say for example, in any organization, there's a delivery failure. Okay, the customer wanted 100 numbers in a day, and last day you did not supply, say you just supplied 800. There was a gap of 200 products which you could not supply to him. Let's look back. What is that? The which did not allow me to supply to a level to which my customer stood in need of. Now, this gap of 200 has not come from because I have not produced, 1000 number. The gap has literally come from I did not have a finished good inventory with me to, compensate that fluctuation that takes place at the back end. Now, let's understand why I did not have those finished good inventory. If I look at say 25 days, working days in a month, there's a 75, shifts. If 75 shifts you look at horizontally, you will find that someday they are producing, 1000 numbers, someday they are producing 1100, somewhere they are producing 800, somewhere 950, somewhere 750. So see, on day-to-day basis, you will find there's a inconsistency in the production. Now, say day one, there's a problem because there's absenteeism of operator. If you ask day two, the why we could not produce to a level to which we targeted, they say there was a problem in tooling. Third day, if you ask them, yeah, there is a problem in a machine, there was a breakdown. Fourth day, you ask them, the melting material or raw material did not come. Fourth day, if you ask them, sir, everything was there, but today we had a lot of rejection. That's the reason that we did not give it to the inventory store so that they keep up their inventory levels. So if there's a delivery failure, I am not able to maintain my finished good inventory. At the back end, if you look at, there are certain issues which did not allow me to meet my production target. If you go back, let me take one example, Shay. There is a die breakdown. So let me give an example of, there's the pressure die casting unit. There's a 10 machines which are lying there, which are continuously producing the casted parts and which are being supplied to customer. Now, there's a supervisor appointed there, right? Now, the supervisor who is producing, who is actually through their operators is producing those numbers and is supposed to supply as per the target to the next level. Now, if there's a problem in a die on one machine, so he goes and find it out. Yeah, there's a suddenly the temperature went up during the process, and there are a lot of rejection which took place. The die was supposed to run at 230 degrees Celsius, for example, and if you look at it, why this temperature went up? Because cooling was not effective. Why cooling was not effective? There was a leakage. The why that leakage took place, because there was, when they did why they reached to a level that the water coolant line which actually gets onto the nozzle, so that actually is brittled out and probably the water started leaking from that joint, and therefore it did not cool the die to a level to which the temperature is maintained. Now if you again go back, I mean, why it got brittle? So there was a finding that the time when die was loaded, right, at that time the end piece, the end edge of the pipe which gets onto the nozzle was cut in taper, because there's a SOP. Whenever you have to put that die onto nozzle, the water pipeline into nozzle, the water pipeline has to cut exactly 90 degree to the axis of this thing. If you cut it taper, probably that will become a reason for a seepage. And if sequence is ignored for few shifts, so that the part which comes in contact with the nozzle will start getting brittle, getting eroded, as a result of which the whole leakage will start. Leakage in consequent to which dye temperature will goes up, in consequent to which the blowhole will take place and lot of rejection will take place, and which will not allow you to produce the those numbers, okay, quantities which will have to go and build up the inventories. Now, from
Yeah.
this example, if you look at the last, the abnormality while we were loading the die and cutting that coolant inlet pipe, instead of cutting it 90-degree, I cut it taper, and it was put it onto nozzle, and also not to a level to which it should have been. There was a compromise on the overlapping length. All those small abnormality actually gets magnified to a level to which it gives you a big problem. Now,
Yeah.
the important thing is, who is the person responsible for it? So basically, supervisor is supposed to go see whether things are happening as per the norms or not. That's the reason I'm saying, when I say supervisor, it is not only in production. Supervisor in the tool maintenance, the supervisor in machine maintenance, the supervisor in production. So, the single point of contact after worker, the first person who comes in contact with the workers or operators, is very, very critical. If he start acting as a managing director, not as supervisor, he say, I am the owner of this 10 machine. I am the owner of this 10 dice. I am the owner of this workstation. Then probably things will start, taking shape slightly differently. The ownership will come. So whatever the strategy you make and whatever the tactical action you make, unless until I make my shop floor more powerful, and also in a manner in which my all SOPs are implemented, till then I am into a risk of delivery failures, quality failures, and also producing the product with high cost.
And with your experience of so many years, especially first with OEMs and then later on with Tier 1, what do you think is the main reason that why the people who are immediately above the worker level, whom we call it as a supervisor, why they are not being empowered? Or means even if they are empowered, that are they not competent? That's why all these things are happening? Or is it something else? That what's the reason that the results that should come, why they are not coming?
So when I say leadership, shop floor leadership, when I say it's a supervisor in utility maintenance, or supervisor in tooling maintenance, or supervisor in machine maintenance, or even an inspector in quality, or supervisor in who is responsible for just 10 machines in a shift. Actually, he has to, has to be trained as a owner of that line, number one. And he also, unless until he has got 4 qualities in his mind for which his mind has to be trained. The number one is that he has to, okay, today he's grappling with the problems, fine.
Yeah.
But he has to be trained in such a manner, you start thinking what kind of a ideal line you should have, what kind of the 10 machine you should have. The kind of, apart from in the morning when shift starts at 6:30, your job is not only to deploy the people and to make sure all resources are employed or give them all the consumables or raw material. At the time when breakdown comes, you will have to go report, coordinate, and see that breakdown is overcome. This is not the job. This could be a job of 1 hour in a day. The actual job lies in, you will have to have 3 things in hand. You should have a telescope in hand, you should have a microscope in hand, you should have a stethoscope in hand. What does telescope does? Telescope does is allows you to see all those, the futuristic things which are very, very important for you. See, you go out and see how other units are working. What are the best practices? You should be able to envision the future, what kind of line and machines you want to have. So this one quality will widen his, the whole perspective. Because he does not know. He feels that my job is only to come right at 6:30 and go back at 2:30 and do only these things, and my job is over. Actually, he has to be trained and told that you go and see and also envision the future, what kind of line you should have. Number one. Number two, with your desired image and sketch a scenario that you built in your mind, you will have to, align your associates, your people with that kind of a future. Because you are visualizing a line which should consistently produce flawlessly and supply to the customer. Visualize that how material will come, how people will work, what kind of SOP will have to follow, how material will be traveled next, and how to get the feedback, how to handle our operators, how to train them, things like that has to be. We have to spend most of the time on these things, not only the traditionally what a supervisor does. Now, in doing so, you will find that typically what I am promoting is we should promote not PDCA, we should promote SDCA. So standardize, do, check, and act is most important. Now, let's understand when I say have telescope in hand, now comes when I say have microscope in hand. Now, microscope means once you have seen where you want to reach, you have aligned your people also, and you are asking your people to, apply standards, start applying, work on S, work on do. Now you will find a lot of small abnormalities. Behind every defect, behind every loss, there's a small abnormality. In my just example which I gave, a small abnormality with just cutting the inlet pipe in taper created a havoc. So this abnormality, we have to ask a question. Okay, did I have a standard of cutting it? Yes, I had a standard. It was supposed to cut 90 degrees to the axis of my inlet pipe, coolant pipe. Was it adequate? It was not adequate, because where I have not said with which instrument I have to cut. He has a little blade with him, different operator has a different blades with him, and they just cut and put it over it. So there's a standard, but it is not adequate one. The standard has to be made more adequate. The third question is, if your standard is there, is it adequate also? Is it deployable? Is it really pragmatic to which can be applied? Yes, it is pragmatic. Why? Because instead of giving them a blade, I've given them a special cutter which will make sure that every time you cut, it will be 90-degree cut to the axis of my coolant, and therefore this problem which came will not come. The fourth question we should ask is, if you have a standard, which is adequate and you are deployable also, question is, have you communicated to your operator? He said, I am communicated. Now, story does not end here. You have to ask, you have to demonstrate how to cut with your own hand, and then ask him to show me what have you understood. Now, this fourth question, has it been, the understood by operator? This will happen only when you cut with your own hands, demonstrate him, ask him to show, and if you are, confident about it, now with this cutter, he can cut to the required manner. So the last question is, you are implementing it. Now, if it is implemented, even after when you have a standard, it is adequate, it is deployable, it is demonstrated, it is, understood by him. Now it is implemented. The last question is, are we verifying that it is being done consistently every day? So these 7 golden questions have to be exercised only by the supervisor, whether he is in maintenance or he is in production or even he is in quality. So SDCA has to be promoted. So the time when you do SDCA, this standard is very, very important to eliminate the abnormality which come across. And one day, once it gets magnified, it creates a losses and defect, and it gets magnified. It even, put your efficiency and effectiveness in question. So capability is nothing but it is characterized by the scale to which you have to produce, your efficiency, your effectiveness, your technology, and the skill of workforce. Where I'm saying, if China is having an edge over us only in these things, they are more efficient, more effective, workforce is more skilled, they have better technologies, and skills are better. That's the reason their contribution is much, much larger than that of, India. Now let's go ahead. Now, moment I say standard, then I say, now do it. Moment I do it, again, when I say you have to demonstrate, there's a very powerful tool called the relay, the relay training. Now, relay training is very, very important. In relay training, you say if you want your operator to do some practice which is adequate in nature, and you go there as a coach, and you have one operator who is coachy, you have
Yeah.
another operator from another machine who will become a witness. Okay, so day one, you have a coach who is supervisor, you have a coachee on X machine, there's a operator, there's a witness who is a operator from Y machine who is witnessing. Now on that day, you are coaching your operator how to cut the pipe. I'm taking small example to make my point clear. Now there is a third person, the second worker who is witnessing this process of demonstration. Now next day, now that person, the operator of X machine, has to train the operator of Y machine. The operator of X machine will become a coach, operator of Y machine will become a coachee, and operator of Z machine will become a witness. Right? Now, like this, if you start relaying it, so probably the 10 machine which you have, and there are in 3 shifts, there are 30 operators who are working. If you put this exercise in place, this is a real life, training which is going to be very, very effective. Normally we say we have communicated, we have trained, but we did not demonstrate. We did not, allow people to get cascaded through a relay teaching or relay coaching. Probably then training will become ineffective. So while you are doing SDCA, you have to do S, you have to D, C, and most important thing is C. A supervisor who is a leader has to demonstrate his leadership by running around those all machines and see whether those, to eliminate those abnormalities that are happening, are our people are practicing what is told to them for which they have been trained. So he has to go and do checking and also make sure which operator is not able to do to a level to which he was taught, and then do a bridge. You do a bridging, the gap bridging, so that all operators are trained to that level, so they do not produce abnormality, in consequence to which defect will not come, losses will not be there, your productivity and quality is going to be higher. So SDCA model I am promoting, which has to happen if you have a approach of having telescope in hand, microscope in hand, which telescope will allow you to see what you want to be. Microscope will allow you to go into abnormality and do root cause analysis to see what is affecting. Okay, and then most important is stethoscope in hand. Now stethoscope will allow you to work with your operator as a mentor, win their heart, don't order, like that. So these 3 instruments I believe is very, very important as a leader. So you will have to see the future, align your people, demonstrate them, train them, make sure they do a right thing, encourage them, so that the shop floor leadership is exercised well in order to see that your efficiency, effectiveness are much better than before.
I think the way you have explained about the SDCA and why it is important and how to use that, and especially those 3 things about stethoscope, telescope, and microscope. I think when all these things will be implemented or wherever they are implemented, maybe in India or maybe in China or maybe in Japan or maybe any other country, I'm sure it is also give a lot of contentment and happiness to the people who are working there. And when they are going back or when they are coming to office next day, they will be very charged up and very excited and very happy also, which again is an important part.
Yeah, I think when you start your day, you are, before you make an entry to your workshop or your factory, see, when you start from your home, you always come with a very good intention of doing something great today. And today day is going to be value added in nature. Moment you enter into it and you are told that today the 4 operators are not coming, you again make an entry to your line and you are told that today your molten material is not coming. So you have so many problems, which you have around, which does not make you work to a level with the efficiencies or with the happy mood. So you are not given enough time to sit back and think why these problems are grappling every day, day in and day out, and what is the solution. So it is a symptom of the I would say the lack of leadership. Our engineers who are joining and leading the shifts are not properly trained, are not properly I would say mentored to a level to which they should start working in a manner in which I am promoting certain practices. Now, so they starts with a problem, they end it with a problem, they go back. I am sure that people even work more than 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, but they are not coming out of the problem just because the shop floor or manufacturing capability determined by the skill and leadership quality of these people actually is in question. Therefore, I strongly recommend that we need to work to empower these people. We must spend more time, energy, and efforts to make these people more empowered and capable, because this is critical for making my manufacturing capability to a level to which we really aspire.
Wonderful, Mr. Chandok. I think this is a topic which you are expert, and maybe you can talk hours and hours. But I think in these 30 minutes, we have been able to talk about the uncertainties of life. We have been able to talk about that challenges will be there. It's not that challenges will not be there. We are not talking about the idealistic world. We are not talking about everything is fine. But in those challenging time when, say, someone is absent, or maybe a machine breakdown is there, or maybe something like that is there, what we can do, what is a structured approach that we can follow, wherein very beautifully you talked about SDCA, which I think if we can understand in principle and if we can start implementing it, I think it may take some time, but I'm sure that when we ask the right question, we can get the right answers. And then 3 very important and interesting takeaways when you are talking about telescope, that you have to see in the shift what possible things can go wrong and what are the important challenges that can happen, and then using a microscope to see that now what I need to do at this particular time, and also using a stethoscope just to keep on checking the motivation of the people, the confidence of people, and what you can do with respect to that. And once all that things will be there, then there is a possibility that when we talk about leadership, and it's not about top management, it's about the shop floor. And when we say shop floor, very rightly you said that it's not only the production guy, it is a machine maintenance guy, it is a tool maintenance guy, it is a utility guy, it is a quality person. Everyone has to believe that yes, they are the managing director of that particular process. And when that thing will happen, there is a high possibility that whatever challenges that we are facing in industry at the moment in India, especially with respect to the efficiency, and I think very interesting data shared by you about China, that China is contributing 31.6 and we are hardly 3%. So we are promoting a lot about Make in India. So I think there is a lot of potential with thoughts given by you. Something great can be done. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chandok. Thanks a lot for all this wonderful thought. And I'm very sure that we'll all get benefit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.